This is the Phil Hendry Show, 1-800-449-8686.
Hey, Margaret Gray joins us. Margaret is the nationally syndicated columnist who has celebration ideas for the Christmas season. I read this morning, Margaret, in your column that you have some pretty unique ideas.
Well, Phil, you know, we do. We have an awful lot going into the column. But before I get into that, because I've got some recipes, I've got some great party ideas, before I get into that, I wanted to sort of share my disappointment. And I don't want you to think that I'm not in the Christmas spirit, but I'm a little disappointed.
You were of now, is strictly a homosexual. Perhaps he's a bisexual. Janice doesn't buy it. She thinks it's all a big put-on. She thinks Nicole Kidman's pretending she loved him because it makes her look good, and whatever else you were saying. Good God, woman, you don't trust anybody, do you? You know, sometimes it just isn't a conspiracy, don't you? Like, I give you the example of that guy, and I used the example a few months ago. There was a man who went missing. He was a writer who was on his way home to Los Angeles. Remember the story that I told? And suddenly, he doesn't show up at his home in Santa Monica. His wife had been talking to him via cell phone the night before. The phone call came in at about 2 a.m. He was on his way, driving straight through from Texas to California. He would be home sometime midday that day. Called her, talking to her somewhere in Arizona or New Mexico, okay? The day arrives, he doesn't show up. Now, where do we automatically go as human beings? Where do we automatically go as the human race? A conspiracy. I mean, I read this story, and they thought he'd been abducted by members of the mafia because he was a screenwriter writing something about organized crime. There were people, yes, that's right, you guessed it, who thought he'd been sucked into a spacecraft. There were people who thought, yep, right again, that he'd gone into some dimensional warp. There were people who, hey, you're reading my mind. That's right, thought he'd been abducted by midget gypsies. Whatever. But could it have been an accident? Well, why? Why would it be an accident? That can't possibly be. How can a man be in an accident and then not come home? Maybe he got into the accident and they haven't found his body yet. Yeah, but it's 6 months, 8 months, 9 months later? No, Mr. Henry, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. A man can't get into an accident and go completely undiscovered. It's got to be a conspiracy. The guy's been sucked into a virtual time warp. The cat's on the Starship Enterprise. He's playing chess with Spock right now. Well, guess what? A man was reading about this story I'm telling you, it's about 2 years later. This man is completely, the guy that went missing has been gone for 2 weeks, or 2 years. No one knows what happened to him. The woman, the wife, is I mean, can you imagine? You don't know where your husband is, right? Maybe he did run off. Maybe he did attempt to change his identity. Well, a guy's reading a story in San Diego, and he decides to retrace the route of this man's car just to see what he can see. He's just a regular average Joe, just a regular slob like you and me, right? He ain't a cop. He's no brain surgeon newspaper reporter. He ain't no brain surgeon on the TV channel. He's just a guy. And he gets in his car and he retraces the route of this man's trip that night, where he was going and where he had been. And as he drove along, he crossed the California aqueduct. And he noticed a piece of chain link fence that guards the aqueduct ripped away. And he gets out of his car, he looks down into the aqueduct, and what do you suppose he sees? He sees the taillights of an automobile. And he alerts authorities. There's a car in the California aqueduct, and sure enough, they remove the remains of this man who had talked to his wife on the telephone, on a cell phone at 2 a.m., said, I'll see you the next day, baby, hung up, and quite possibly on his journey homeward fell asleep at the wheel. The car cracked right on through the chain link fence and into the California aqueduct, and there he died. It was an accident. It wasn't Martians. There's no Martians. You know, it was just an accident. And maybe we found Saddam Hussein the same way. I mean, it's just, we just found the dude. The cat wasn't, gassed. He's a coward. He put his hands up. He wasn't in a closet being held by the U.S. military. He was actually hiding out in the Iraqi countryside. We didn't time it so that Bush could be reelected. It so happens that our special ops were up in that area of Iraq, got information, and boom, discovered him. We know that they were convoying up there because they'd been attacked about 3 weeks ago. Is that suspicious? We got lucky. They say about luck, man, it's the combination of hard work. It's the intersection of hard work and opportunity. And tell me those guys, and you know something else, and I want to say this, saying that it's somehow a stroke of good luck and saying that somehow Bush got lucky is an insult to every fighting man in Iraq. It really is. It's an insult to every man and woman over there who are really busting ass. I mean, some of these cats over here who are talking about our war in Iraq as if it's a rather drab, kind of this sort of drab drag on what is otherwise a really good time that they're having. And what are we doing over there anyway? There's no appreciation whatsoever for those men and women, which, by the way, can I also mention Joe, who's the guy that sent us the stuff, Janice? Joe Westerfield or Westerbrook? Anyway, Joe has sent us some nice things over the years, and he sent us a coincidence? What's the point? Conspiracies, all I know is this, man, and I've said this before, and I don't think there's a coincidence at all. The conspiracy theory gained new appreciation and more converts. And when I say conspiracy theories, I mean about everything and anything, gained appreciation and converts just about the same time that widespread use of LSD took place in this country. Now, it ain't a coincidence. It ain't. There's got to be something to it. There's got to be some connection between the fact that people are perfectly intelligent. And what do I mean perfectly intelligent people? I don't know they're perfectly intelligent. They may be brain dead from way back. But there's got to be a reason why so many people, seemingly intelligent, will accept any and all poo as fact, man. Holocaust didn't happen. Eric von Donigan, Chariots of the Gods, Martians came down here and gene spliced us with horses. Dig that. That book, Chariots of the Gods, was written by a man by the name of Eric von Donigan, that there is a cadre of aging New Age hippies and crystal freaks who think is God Almighty. And they think this guy has got the serious theory on how man emerged on this planet. Martians came down here, picked us up, probed us anally or whatever, and then decided to gene splice us with, dogs or something, and out came people. In other words, when they found us, we were like just, chimps? And, people, really go for this stuff. Well, 1973, what was going on then? You got it, Quaaludes, downers, uppers, coke, pot, hash, mescaline, psilocybin tea, magic mushrooms, so on and so forth. The list goes on and on. This country, this society had come just busted out of its cage, man, after that whole garrison society mentality, man, after World War II and Korea and wearing flat tops and drinking Pilsner beer out of a fluted glass. We decided to just, woo, man. I mean, we just started wearing our hair long, and it was a party, baby, and everything and anything was possible. Never mind that reality still lurks out there. You can go out and you could party your ass off, man, but you still got to get up in the morning and start the car, right? Well, the same thing happens with people and societies and culture. And in the 1970s, when all of this conspiracy crap started to take hold, because Nixon and those guys couldn't tell the truth, then it turned out every president was a liar. Every president was a liar. Not just Nixon, everybody. They're all liars. Nixon's a liar, Ford was a liar, Carter was a liar, Clinton's a liar, Reagan's a liar, Bush is a liar. I'm telling you right now, man, I could track it back to my youth. I know exactly when it started because I came of age at a very pivotal time in this century. It was the time that bridges between two completely separate Americas. The trusting America of the 50s and the post-war era, and the new cynical and questioning America, which some people will tell you is very healthy, but not when you become psychotic about it, man. No, it's not healthy. Not when you start having flights of fancy. Questioning things is one thing, but actually asking me if the walls are breathing because you took a hit of purple microdot, that's just because you took some acid. Got nothing to do with whether or not the freaking walls are breathing. I got a great idea, man. Drink a bunch of Ripple wine and call me in about 12 hours. It is not a coincidence, and I'm telling you again, and if you think I'm kidding, I'm not. I am deadly serious when I say the current generation of boomers and some of their offspring, but really this has all been influenced by the boomers. They give a full voice to these conspiracy theories because of their habitual drug use. I ain't kidding you, man. I've been around them. Still smoking weed, still doing a couple of lines now and again. And you know, like they ain't even on the planet freaking Earth. And they've passed this whole questioning, and I don't mean just healthy questioning. I mean this whole very unhealthy, cynical skepticism onto their offspring so that even when a president's telling the truth, he's a liar. Just think about that. When has Bush or Clinton ever opened their mouths when anybody ever believed them? Clinton was a liar, too. Remember that? Oh, yeah, he was a liar. Bush is a liar. Bush Sr. was a liar. I can tell you the time, the place. I can tell you the dates. I can tell you who said it. I remember every freaking president, man, has been a liar. Carter was a lying sack of crap, too. Ford was a lying sack. As a matter of fact, Ford was the guy that pardoned Nixon, man, and everybody thought that that deal was struck way before Ford ever became president, so that was a conspiracy, too. How foolish do you want to feel, man? I can keep pointing this crap out. Well, you know what? Sooner or later, reality has a way of intruding, man. Seriously, sooner or later, reality has a way of raising its ugly kisser right up into your face and saying, hi, I'm here, and breathing its stench breath all over you. And it won't, I mean, all of the acid, all of the quaaludes in the world, man, all of the downers and uppers and antidepressants and stimulants will not keep you from staring reality in the face. And it will arrive. And I just hope it doesn't arrive this way. We'll be waiting for Uncle Sam to bail us out when the bad man is finally at the door. Not at the shore, but at the door. We'll be waiting for Uncle Sam to finally tell us it's all a big, bad dream. Maybe the president will be Kerry. And we elected him because we want him to, we want America to be America again. Remember that one? So when the bad man finally arrives and sticks that sharpened saber, right in your throat there, and you're waiting for Uncle Sam to call up and tell you that's all a big, bad dream. And guess what? He can't do it, man, because it ain't. What are we going to say then? Well, there ain't going to be much to say. It's goodbye head. It's goodbye head, hello Broadway. Give my regards to Broadway. It's a hell of a way to get ahead. Yeah, David?
Jesus.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hello, Phil. This is Major Johnson Jameson.
Oh, God. Thankfully, a voice of reason. I hear you usually on the Art Bell Show.
I actually am, Phil, but I wanted to tell you that your listeners need to know that a meteor is going to hit the Earth.
All right, 1-800-449-8686. Everybody's a freak. I like how these guys all know I'm going to hang up on them, so they spit it out real fast. A meteor's going to hit the Earth? 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show.
Phil Hendry, 1-800-449-8686. 449-8686. The Phil Hendry Show is back.
Our website is www.philhendryshow.com. Pick up a souvenir while you're there. All right, now the two finalists on American Idol are Fantasia Barrino and another gal by the name of Diana DiGiorno. Forehead, jazz night. It's like, they're talking to some cat on another planet. And I'm screwing around with hearts? Come on. 1-800-449-8686. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Henry, enjoying your program tonight. I was just wondering if you know anything about something that I heard last night on the George Norrie show, and it's called Bohemian Grove. Do you know anything about that, or have you been talked to about it?
No, I haven't. What is that?
Okay, it's pretty intense. First of all, apparently George Bush and Donald Rumsfeld both belong to it, and they meet in a forest, and apparently there's a bonfire every year, and there are some other tribal rights, okay?
Wait, hold on for just a second, man. All right?
Hold on. What?
What do you mean it's in a forest and they burn stuff?
Yeah, this guy was on George Norrie's Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, and he said that Bush and Rumsfeld belong to it, and it's got some secret rights. And
well, is that Bohemian Club?
No, that's different. They meet in a forest, is what I'm saying. And
well, wait a minute, man. What do you mean they meet in a forest? The President of the United States.
Yeah, that was what the guy was saying.
The President of the United States and the Department of Defense Secretary go to a forest?
Once a year, yeah. In Northern California, they'll go into a forested area, deep in the thicket, and...
Will you get out of here, man?
No, man,
Yeah, that's right, man. Deep into a thicket they go. Bush and Rumsfeld. Wow. George's a great cat, man. Good man. Good guy. And some of the most beautiful women. I'm just screwing around because somebody mentioned that to him. I every now and again I'll hear a tape of George's show. And they did. And that was the end of that. Nothing secret, nothing weird, nothing whack. Welcome. Probably did or might have done is gradually tried to wean himself and his union away from this influence, and it probably wasn't. You're not able to do that. It's you owe us. And I think at some point they just said, maybe Hoffa put his foot down. I don't know, but they said, well, let's talk about it. And what they meant was, may we shoot you? Sure, you're welcome. And they did, and that was the end of that. Nothing secret, nothing weird, nothing whack. Whenever I hear about a conspiracy theory, I always go back to my favorite conspiracy theory of all time. I've told the story on the air, but I'll tell it one more time in case you haven't heard it. Because to me, this is the conspiracy theory to end all. A guy, and this is a true story, a man is driving home one night through the southwestern desert. 2 a.m., he talks to his wife on the phone. He says, honey, I'll see you in the evening. Now, it's about 2 a.m., which means he's got another 12, say 16 more hours of driving. He's somewhere in New Mexico. He's heading home to Los Angeles. He says, I'll see you tonight, baby. She says, great. Gets off the phone. She never sees him again. This guy was a screenwriter. Well-known screenwriter. She never sees him again. Now, in the weeks and the days that succeeded the disappearance of this man who had just been on the phone talking to his wife, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll see you tonight, honey. You know the story, Mark? In the weeks that followed, people, well, what happened to him? He was abducted by aliens. There's always that one. He was killed by people who, were competing for the rights to some screenplay he had. He was killed by people who didn't like what he was writing. He decided to just leave, to vanish, to, that old, I'm going to lose my identity and become a new man thing. All of these things began to surface. Just like they surfaced when Hoffa died and Morrison died and everybody, and Kurt Cobain, all of these things. And these things gain more and more credibility until somebody can come along and just put a foot on them, right? Otherwise, we believe this crap. Now, a guy's reading the article in one of the newspapers about this man who's been gone for 8 months. Did he get abducted by aliens? Did he start a new life? This guy's in San Diego. He's just a regular Joe. He's reading this article, and he begins to make notes to himself and draws kind of a rough map as to where this guy would be when he made the phone call and where he might be a few hours later. Now, after months and months and months and months of police investigation and every jackass in the world who goes to Burning Man saying that the guy was abducted by aliens or split from his wife or whatever, this guy goes up to Interstate 10 and begins to retrace the road that this man would have taken, and he comes upon a stretch of chain link fence that has been torn away in a section. And he's on a bridge, and he looks down into the California Aqueduct, which is a large aqueduct of water. It's the water that serves the Los Angeles metro area. And what does he see? He sees the rooftop of an SUV submerged in the water. And they go down, and sure enough, it's this guy who had fallen asleep at the wheel. Car busts through the chain link fence and into the freaking river it goes. Now, the reason why we know that no aliens abducted the guy is because we found his freaking car sitting there in the aqueduct. But up to that point, aliens had taken him. He was playing cards with Jimmy Hoffa. he was this and he was that, and he was a whole bunch of other crap. To me, that every single conspiracy theory that you even want to mention boils down to that. Until, it's like Flight 19, those planes that flew out of Fort Lauderdale and got lost in the Bermuda Triangle? Yeah, sure. Guy's writing a book right now, entirely plausible. He says they got lost, they flew too far north, they turned west, which is all according to what happened on the radio transmission, and they crashed into the swamp in southern Georgia. Now, anybody who was living in Miami at the time the Value Jet went down knows that when that Value Jet went into the Everglades, you didn't see a thing. I mean, that's a whole passenger jet went into the Everglades, and there was nothing. Except alligators. The swamp will suck a lot of stuff down, right? It's entirely possible those 5 planes went into the swamp, just sunk, and that's the end of that. And it's in a swamp in Georgia. They didn't bother to look at that. I believe in a Bermuda Triangle, man, like I believe I'm going to grow a big, thick, healthy head of hair over the next month. Bull crap. Sorry, I'm just not... as long as there's some way to explain stuff, I ain't going there. And that includes UFOs, Sasquatch, and, and morning breath. There's got to be an explanation. All right, coming up, we've got Little Ian Anderson, our flashback by request, the world-famous Phil Hendry Show.
Phil Hendry, 1-800-449-8686.
And now, Phil Hendry.
The American people have always been screwy. Don't think that we're the first generation to come up with screwball ideas about how things happen. We are the first generation to have this thing called talk radio, the internet, and this incredible ability to communicate with each other, and the incredible ability to spread misinformation and disinformation. And so we have to be smarter than preceding generations, which I think for the most part we probably are. There's that Snopes site, which is a husband and wife team who have a website debunking and essentially shooting full of holes all these urban myths that are flying around concerning September the 11th. And they've been doing a pretty good job of it. There's also Truth or Fiction. And we're just a little bit smarter. We're more experienced with bullcrap artists probably and everything that they might be trying to spread. There was a time, however, that we didn't have talk radio. And we didn't have the internet, but we didn't have the ability to, the ability to shoot full of holes these rumors, but we also didn't have the ability to spread them. So what was the next best thing? Letters to the FBI. You got it. And if you go to any search engine and enter in, say, the name Hitler and FBI, you will find an FBI website where they deal with declassified, posted there on the internet, declassified documents having to do with Hitler. And the most interesting are the letters that the FBI received after the end of the Second World War from average citizens, some of them handwritten, some of them typewritten, some of them with the most glaring misspellings and grammatical errors, claiming to have seen Hitler in the United States. One I will never forget. It was a handwritten letter from someone who saw Hitler near a coffee shop in Hollywood, California. And he had just come from a casting call for Bedtime for Bonzo. And anyway, no, I'm kidding about that. But they did say that they saw him near a coffee shop in Hollywood. Another letter from someone who knows a man who shined his shoes in New York. Another person who swears up and down that Hitler was observed getting off of a submarine in Argentina, and on and on and on and it went. And the FBI has all of these, has retained all of these, and now posts them on the internet for you to see. Crazy, wild thing. Now, can you imagine if we had the communication in 1945 that we have today? People jumping on the radio. Yeah, I seen him bowling over here. Hitler? Yes. All right, sir. Thank you. I don't know what to say about that, folks. There was a man who says that he saw Adolf Hitler bowling, and I'm sure our law enforcement can get on that, okay? Yes, ma'am, you're on the air. Yes, my understanding is that he's living in an apartment. He's an iron worker now in Cleveland. Really? Is that? Yes. Okay, thank you. So, thank you for your call. Thank you for your contribution. It would have been nuts, man. As it was, it took years for people to finally let it sink in that Hitler was dead, that he had died from from cyanide and a gunshot wound, that he was carried into the garden there of the bunker complex in Berlin, and his body was set afire along with Eva Braun's by his chauffeur. Now, that was testified to by the chauffeur. Burned corpses were found by the advancing Russian troops that entered Berlin. And the rest of it is a lot of hooey. I mean, nobody's ever been able to prove anything other than that. But it took years, even without all the rumor mongering and the disinformation and misinformation that we would have the ability to do now. 1-800-449-8686. Here's Rolando on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hello, Phil.
Hi.
Hi, Phil. How you doing?
Fine.
Good. Phil, love what you're doing with the show, keeping us informed.
Thank you.
With all the extra curriculum from the news.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome, man.
What's that?
You're welcome.
Oh, Phil, I have an idea. How about if you say Jay Sandals and his boys over to get Bin Laden?
Yeah, Jay's volunteering to go over. And let's see, who's going to finance such a trip? Is he doing it at Priceline.com or something? He's getting some low airfare?
All right, Phil. Thanks.
Okay, brother, thanks.
Thanks.
See you later. I like the guy's laughing at his own concept. It's pretty good. Jay is on his way to Afghanistan. He's going to do something about that. Yeah, he's going to do the three-step takedown on Bin Laden. He's going to walk up to Bin Laden while one of his sub-corporals kneels behind Bin Laden and go, hey, look, there's an airplane. Bin Laden will look, and then he'll push him and fall over the guy who's kneeling behind him. And then we'll get him on a chopper, and we'll get him back here, and all's well that ends well. Dan, hi, you're on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hey, Phil, how's it going?
Fine.
I sort of lost my concentration on that last call.
Yeah.
Oh, chunky monkey, God.
Ow! Ow!
Okay, look, man, if you are having a...
I got to take care of it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the guy's cramping because he had chunky monkeys, so we're not going to be able to talk with him. Let's get over to Jeff Dowder, who's on the line with us. Jeff Dowder is a professor of mechanical physics at Caltech University. Mr. Dowder, how are you doing tonight?
A pretty interesting guest on your radio program, Mr. Henry.
Well, he was...
He sounded like he was in a world of hurt. He sounded like he was a hurting gator, that dude.
Okay, this is the fire season, Professor Dowder, and there's going to be a lot of fires out west and wherever there is dry brush, and I know they're now beginning to enlist the aid of weather satellite technology, et cetera, to try to track some of this. And I was wondering what you could perhaps fill in terms of the blanks in this.
Well, let's be very clear about what causes a forest fire. Once you know what causes a forest fire, then you're able to go down there and you know, keep it from happening. But the thing that causes a forest fire that people don't know, and I got a very good friend of mine, Toby Bowe, who worked at Temple City Animal Hospital for 2 years, and he read up on it. When it gets very dry, a lot of the high brush, a lot of the high weeds, okay, Mr. Henry? Okay?
Yes, I'm following you.
Okay. A lot of the high weeds get very dry. Now, in the low-lying flatland foothill areas, as you get up into the higher crested alpine areas, there is a fairly significantly large jackrabbit population. A community that could number anywhere from 1,000 jackrabbits to 50 to 53,000 jackrabbits in a significant area. The jackrabbits, I don't know if you've ever seen a jackrabbit. They get moving. You know, they haul ass, you know.
Yeah, I've seen them. I got them around my house.
Yeah, exactly. So a jackrabbit gets hauling ass through the high, dry weeds. Static electricity now comes into play. The fur on a jackrabbit, as he's hauling ass through these weeds, gets a little spark of static electricity. Have you ever seen a static electricity on a pair of slacks? And
yes, I have.
Okay, the jackrabbit gets hauling ass through the weeds. Little spark of electricity goes. Now the jackrabbit will, at that moment, burst into flames. Now you got a flaming rabbit that's just hauling ass and setting everything on fire. Okay?
Now, hold on for a minute, man. I just want to...
Yeah.
You're telling me that the fur from the jackrabbit
Well, keep in mind, it's very dry.
Absolutely. It's extremely dry in those areas, and we do get static electricity. That the fur from the jackrabbit, as he goes through the weeds, creates static electricity, and the jackrabbit bursts into flames?
Yes, sir, that's right. So now you've got this bunny that's just like completely burning up, and it's touching off, trees as it goes by. Toby Bowes, he's camping with a friend of his. Okay, they're up there doing some camping. Also do some brown trout fishing. Okay, he also, and probably shouldn't say this, but he took a hit of acid. He said it's like unreal. When you get up at that elevation, what the sky looks like. He took this hit of acid. And
Well, I don't need to know about that, man, okay? Just tell me.
Well, anyway, Toby was up there, and on any given night, he said, man, you'd believe it, I saw like 3-4 bunnies on fire, just going, woo, man. They're touching off trees and everything.
Well, if that's the case, then your friend was in the middle of a forest fire.
What?
If that's the case, your friend was in the middle of a forest fire.
Well, he didn't make any comment on that specifically. But,
well, what do you mean he didn't make any comment on it? Look, if he's seeing 4 or 5 flaming rabbits touching off trees.
Well, again, like I said, it's, I don't have the full story, but he's up there, and he was up there with Chris Sorensen, Toby Bowes up there, and Steve Wedlock, okay, which are a couple dudes that we surf with. Anyway, they're up there, and he took a hit of acid. Next thing you know, he's got rabbits that are on fire, just boom, boom, boom. And that's when Toby said, I get it. Okay, this is what's going down. The rabbit gets on fire.
Wait a minute.
What?
Are you telling me your friend cooked this up on acid?
Well, but see, you got to understand something, Mr. Henry. Acid will take you to the molecular level of consciousness.
No, wait a minute. I just want to be clear. Your friend takes a hit of acid and starts imagining that flaming rabbits are setting off trees.
Well, think about it, man. I mean, what's wrong with it?
What do you mean static electricity from the bunny fur?
It does, man. If it's that dry and the bunny fur touches it off, you get acres of trees up in flames before you can say, hey, time for another bong hit. Because what's happening, man, is all of that dead growth, it goes up. The rabbit doesn't know. The rabbit doesn't care. The rabbit doesn't know that it's touching it off. What are you talking about?
What am I talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, man? You would have been fine if you would have said your friend went up there and you didn't mention the acid.
I just said it because he said the sky looks cool.
Yeah, that's fine, man. But now you're telling me, after you tell me your friend took a hit of acid, now I'm sitting here thinking about flaming rabbits. He hallucinated the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's right, man. Yeah, he just came up with the idea of a rabbit, bursting into flames, just like that.
No, he did it with the help of LSD.
Well, whatever, man. I mean, you called me up, so.
Where are you right now?
At a pond.
You're at a pond.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. You see that, Chris? Okay, a rabbit just went through. Okay, there it is. There's the flames. So you can kiss my you-know-what, man.
What do you mean a rabbit just...
A rabbit just hauled ass through, man. Now there's fire.
Is the rabbit on fire?
What's left of him, yeah. He's cooking over there now, man. This rabbit's just all cooked up. So that's okay, Mr. Talk Show host. You know what's going down, so that's fine. Give me 4 coffee, man. Give me 4 of that sangria.
This dude... Yeah, man, the rabbits with the static electricity off of their fur touch off the high weeds. And if it wasn't for the fact... And by the way, they're up there, they took a hit of acid, and the sky looks really great. Sorry, folks, I thought it would be a little bit... Let's get back to Chunky